Hello there, this is the Aptitude Guy. Welcome to another lesson video on the Deloitte placement test for the US tax consultant role. Now, if you haven't watched part 1 of the Excel questions, please watch it first and then come to part 2. Okay, I will link it right here. And as always, if you haven't watched the videos before that, that is the logical reasoning part, then I'll also link it in the I button right here. Okay, so without any further ado, let's begin part 2 of Excel questions. Question number 12. If you're wondering where question number 11 and 1 to 11 is, then of course that is in part 1. Please watch that first and then come to part 2. So the question says, which of these extensions Excel gives to your file which contains macros? Now, what do you think is the answer? Think about it. Think about it. In the exam, you will get on an average 1 minute per question, but then some of the questions will take more than a minute, more than 2 minutes also. And some questions like this one, you either know the answer or you do not know the answer. So, to answer this question, you need to have only 10 seconds, not more than that. So, the answer is option B. .xlsm. The M over here is for macros. Okay, let's move on. Question number 13, and these are all the types of questions that Deloitte can ask. Okay, so if you're prepared with all these questions, please do your own due diligence and prepare a little more. This is just for practice. What is the syntax for the if function in advanced Excel? Okay, now if you just type equal to if in Excel, then it will give you the entire syntax for the if function. Now, what do you think is the answer? Think about it, think about it. Also have a score sheet with you so that you can score yourself how many you got correct and how many you got wrong. That way you will able to get to know how much you need to practice. Okay, the answer is option B. Equal to if, first the logical test is there, then value if true, and then value if false, right here. Like I said, when you type it in Excel, you will get it right here. Excel is a beautiful software. It gives you the answer right there. But yeah, unfortunately in the exam, you can't open Excel. Okay, so what does this mean? First, it tests for the logical test. After that, if it turns out to be true, then this is the output. If it does not turn out to be true, if it's false, then this is the output. All right, let's move on. Question number 14. The function of freeze pane is available under which of the following tabs? Now, what does a freeze pane do? A freeze pane, what it does is it locks either the first row or the first column so that when you scroll this side or this side or this side or this side, these do not move at all. So where is the freeze pane? The freeze pane is in the view tab. Okay, right here. We have the view tab over here. The freeze panes are right here. Okay, that's it. Let's move on. Question number 15. Which of the following is not a method of protecting workbooks in Excel? What do you think is the answer? Think about it. It's always a tricky question whenever they say which one is not something. What do you think is the answer? All right, I hope you have logged in. The answer is protect document. There is no method of protecting the entire document. You can protect the workbook. The workbook works as the entire document, but there's no option called protect document. You can protect one particular sheet also. Like for example, in a workbook, you have multiple sheets. You can choose to protect only this sheet and not these sheets as well. Okay, and there is an option to protect for sharing also, in the sense when you share it with somebody, how much do you want to be shared, how much do you want them to be able to edit it, and so on and so forth. All these options are there, but this option is not there. All right, let's move on. I hope you got that correct. Question number 16. What is the correct path for inserting a pivot table? Okay, where are pivot tables? Now, if you want to, the answer is actually in the question itself. Insert, right? Now, the problem here is there are three options which start with insert. What do you think is the correct answer? The correct answer is option C. Insert and then pivot tables. If you go to Excel and you click on insert, what you will get is when you click on insert, you will get pivot table right here. Now, many people they have a doubt over here. They go to insert and then they see tables. So many people will think that the correct answer is option B, that is insert and then tables and then pivot table. Insert and then tables and then pivot table, right? But that unfortunately is not the right answer. The table over here is not an option, it's just a group of options over here. That's it. Nothing else. So you can't go to table. Table is already there as a group of options. You have to go to insert and then directly from insert you go to pivot table. Okay. Now, when do we actually get another segment over here? Like we had three segments over here, here also we have three segments. When would that be an answer? For that, if at all we go into pivot table, like here. Now, if at all they had asked, what is the correct path for inserting pivot table from external data source? Then the answer would have been insert and then pivot tables, and from there from external data source, because we have to click here and then go here. So first we click on insert, then we click on pivot table, and then we click on from external data source. That is when the third segment will come. But over here, directly from insert, we go to pivot table. So we have only two segments, only two steps. Got it? This is the difference between two steps and three steps. I hope this is clear. If this is something that is new to you, I hope you liked that you know it now. A like to this video would be amazing so that later it gets saved in your liked videos section so that you can always come back to the video and revise the entire thing very quickly. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Question number 17. In which of the following charts a data marker is available? Now, what is a data marker? I'll tell it to you very soon. First, you try to figure out what is the answer. Alright, I hope you have your answer. The answer is option B, radar. Now, what kind of a chart is a radar? Now, we know column charts where we have columns like this, bars. Okay. Then we all know pie chart. So this is a pie chart. Suppose this is a pie chart. And what is a donut chart? It's basically a pie chart which is hollow in the middle. That's it. But what is a radar chart? A radar chart looks very cool. It looks like this. Basically, it is one more nickname of a radar chart is a spider web chart also. You see the resemblance, right? From here, it's like a spider web over here. So this is a radar chart. Now, what do you mean by a data marker? You see all these points over here, point, this point, this point, this point, this point, this point. These are all data markers. Okay. In a column chart, we don't have a data marker. We simply have a column. In a pie chart, again, we don't have a data marker. We simply have area of the chart. And in a donut chart also the same thing as a pie chart. But in a radar chart, we have data markers like this. Okay, that is why the answer is option B. Okay, now you can have a slight debate or a discussion in the comment section about if at all you agree with this reading of all the superhero or not. Okay, DC versus Marvel, if you will. Let's move on to the next one. Question number 18. Choose the correct acronym for the order of operations in Excel and state what P signifies. Okay. So, PEMDAS, PEMDAS, PDMAS, PDOMAS. Okay. Pause the video. Try to figure this out. And then unpause. Alright. I hope you have your answer. The answer is option A. PEMDAS, that is parenthesis. Now, some of you might have a doubt about understanding the question itself. Now, what is the question exactly? What is the question even trying to say? Now, this is what the question is trying to say. If you have studied in the Indian curriculum, mostly CBSE, ICSE, and all that, then you would be familiar with this math concept called BODMAS. This was used in mathematics to determine the order of operations. Remember, the priority of the orders of operations. So this is what we learn. We learn BODMAS. But in some syllabi, in some educational systems, they don't use BODMAS, they use PEMDAS. Now, what is the full form of that? Here it is. So when we have BODMAS and PEMDAS, it's necessarily the same thing. Instead of brackets, we have parenthesis. Parenthesis is just a fancy word for brackets anyway. All right. Then instead of order, O is for order for us. Many people, fun fact, many people think that O is for off. That is absolutely wrong. O is for order. Order means roots or powers. Okay. So these people use the word exponents for that. And then divide, multiply, multiply, divide. They are same priority anyway, so it doesn't matter what you do first. And then add and subtract, add and subtract. So we, or a lot of people in India especially, have read BODMAS, but a lot of other syllabus, like in Europe or in the US, they use PEMDAS. It's the same thing. Okay, now you know what is PEMDAS. So the P in PEMDAS stands for parenthesis. Parenthesis is nothing but brackets. That's it. All right. Again, this would be something new that a lot of you learned. So again, as I said, like the video so that you don't forget about this. Okay, let's move on. Question number 19. What does the PMT function in advanced Excel calculate? PMT function. Now, if you are a finance student and if you are decently good with Excel, you should be able to answer this question. Done? Okay, the answer is option D. Now, what does the PMT function do? The PMT function, now again, Excel being a sweetheart, tells you the entire definition of it. The PMT function calculates the payment for a loan based on constant payments and a constant interest rate. Okay, simple as that. It's there in the name. Cool then, let's move on. Question number 20. Choose the correct step to highlight duplicate values in column. Duplicate values in the sense, if at all there is a column of different data and you have the here and if you have the here as well, then what this entire step will do is it will highlight this cell and this cell. That is what duplicating values does. Okay. Now try to figure this out without going to Excel. Try to figure out what is the correct answer. Done? All right. The answer is option B. First you go to Home tab, then Conditional Formatting, then Highlight Cell Rules, and then Duplicate Values. Okay. So if you're looking at Excel, it will look like this. First you go to Home, which I have not mentioned here. After the Home tab, you go to Conditional Formatting. After Conditional Formatting, you go to Highlight Cell Rules. After Highlight Cell Rules, you have Duplicate Values right here. That's it. So all you do is select that entire column and then go to Home and then Conditional Formatting, then Highlight Cell Rules, then Duplicate Values. Whatever is duplicate over here, they will all get highlighted. That's it. That is the answer. So the answer is option B. I hope you got that right. Let's move on to the next one. Question number 21. A count A function does not count. Now, we talked about it in a previous question in the previous video in part 1 of the Excel questions. What is the answer according to you? Okay, I hope you got this right because if you watch the first video, you will definitely get this right. The count A function I told you counts everything other than a blank cell. Anything and everything that is there in a cell, it will count it. But if there is a blank cell, it will not count it. So of course the answer is option C. Here is an example for the same. So as you can see, in the A column, I have filled 3 cells, the aptitude guy, of course, the name of the channel, like, share and subscribe. Now, when you go to this one, this cell and if you type this formula equal to count A1 to A4. Basically, I have selected this entire thing. Now, how many cells are not empty over here? 1, 2, and 3. 3 cells are not empty. Hence, the output is 3. That's it. Done. Now, if there was something over here like the aptitude uh, and guy or anything, whatever, then the answer over here would have been 4. But since this is blank, the answer is 3. Okay, I hope this is absolutely clear for you now. Let's move on to the next one. Question number 22. What function will be used to remove a line break and extra spaces from a cell if you have the text in A1? Generally speaking, in all these Excel questions in Deloitte or from any other company, the text is generally assumed to be in A1 because it's the first cell of the entire sheet, right? So, which is that function? Think about it, think about it. The answer is option D, the trim function. It makes a lot of sense, right? What do you mean by trimming? Trimming is basically cutting off a few things. So if this is the length, if this is the length of your hair, trimming it means trim this part. That's all. A little bit of a cut. So whatever is extra, you cut it off. That is trimming. Okay. So the same thing over here. You remove extra spaces. So suppose we have output. And then there is a space also over here which is not visible. So when you apply this function over here, this space will get removed. The extra space will get removed because it serves no purpose. That is what it is. Okay, you can try all of this out in your Excel whenever you have some free time. All right, with that, we are done with part 2 of the Excel videos for Deloitte placement test. If you liked this video and you learned something new, as always, like this video so it's saved in your liked videos section. If you want to watch the next video on the Excel series, it's right here. And if you want to watch the previous video, it's right here. And do watch the other videos as well. And of course, as always, subscribe to the channel if the channel helped you. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.